Alright folks, here we go. Rarevid's back once again with another video for you folks with film recommendations and thoughts on each film and shit like that. So I kind of ran out of ideas. I didn't know what the hell I was going to cover this time. But I had an inkling to do another video for you lot. So my good buddy Rod Williams, how are you sir, suggested that, you know, maybe I should do a video on things that I've watched recently, and you know, my thoughts on the quality of them and stuff like that, and you know, whether I like the film and such. So we'll go that way. Now, what I watched last night was Fulci's Warriors of the Year 2072 via the amazing Severin Blu-ray. Now, this is a really fantastic release, like all Severin stuff. But yeah, I'm a massive fan of Severin's work, and it's got an absolute abundance of extras on that one. Print quality is fantastic. Now, I'd always suspected that the Australian VHS on 7 keys was cut, because I had seen, you know, stills and such of, you know, that woman getting her throat cut, you know, and all blood coming out her neck and shit like that, and I never actually seen it in the film on the tape. So as I say, I always suspected it was cut, and like, it actually is. The Australian tape is cut a lot more than I thought. You know, there was like a face melting, a throat cutting, and I don't know, man, there was just like various snippets that I noticed all the way through the film that were cut out, and this was a massive problem with Fulci films here in Australia. I think, honestly, apart from White Fang, you know, that crappy western that Fulci did, like, I think every single Fulci film released in Australia on VHS was cut, and it's crazy. And you know, like I say, I didn't realise how much that thing was cut, and yeah, it's a fun film. Faceless. Now, the Australian VHS of this was fully uncut. We were one of the few territories to get the uncut version. And again, this is another Severin release, and yeah, I mean, I really dig this film. I'm not by any means a Jess Franco fan, but you know, this thing actually had a budget, and yeah, it's a fun film. It's got some nice gore effects and such. The music soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. It's just a fun film. It's just great. Highly recommend it. If you don't have the Severin release of Faceless, get onto it. It's a fantastic release indeed. Now, a film I'd wanted to see for ages, because I'm a massive fan of Asian cinema, was Final Justice, and this is quite hard to track down. It's like a heroic bloodshed film, like, you know, The Killer and Hard Boiled and all that sort of thing. Or so I thought it was going to be, but it was actually quite boring. To be honest, guys, apart from one or two shootouts in the film, it was more like just a boring drama. So it was a real letdown for me, that one. But, you know, luckily I didn't pay an awful lot for it. It's the old Fortune Star Blu-ray, and they are getting harder to get hold of. Another one I watched couple of months back was Righting Wrongs, and this is absolutely amazing. This is the three disc version of Righting Wrongs. It's got 3 different edits of the film on there, and as you can see, it's an absolute quality release from Vinegar Syndrome. Even the artwork and such, like, this is fantastic. I mean, I don't know how to describe this film. It's not just your generic Asian action film. Like, the violence is really cruel, you know. It's a few rungs above your usual sort of actioner, you know. And my favourite edit is the bleak version. From memory, the Hong Kong version. It's got an extremely bleak ending that I won't give away, but yeah, absolutely fantastic. Righting Wrongs I have raved about for the last 25 years, and this is absolutely fantastic. But the only downside is this set is quite expensive. You know, for us Aussies, it costs about $50 or $60 from memory. But, you know, it's one of those films I just had to have. Now, everyone knows I'm a massive fan of Bruno Mattei films. So, again, here we are with Severin and their magnificence. And they've put out a few more Mattei films. What I don't have is Born to Kill, I think it's called, or Born to Fight. Sorry guys, I get the title mixed up. It was actually out of stock, so I ended up buying a Cop Game and Double Target. Now, Cop Game never got a release in a lot of territories, and Australia never got this either. And yeah, this was quite fun, man. It's got fucking Brent Huff in the lead role, and Werner Pocheth, I can't pronounce his name, he's in this too. And yeah, I mean, it's your usual Matei, you know, action, brainless action type stuff. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, it wasn't fantastic, but it was a fun film. And the same with Double Target, another Matei film. Miles O'Keefe in the lead role. And this one was great. I preferred this one over Cop Game. But yeah, again, as usual, Severin did a fantastic job. These things are all totally remastered, packed with extras and all that sort of stuff. So both of those recommended viewing. Now, a film I've been crapping on about for a long time, on my own Facebook timeline and stuff like that, is Blood Delirium. Now, this is absolutely fucking a must-have film. Now, prior to this Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, right, every single print of this thing was cut. And I didn't realise by how much. I started to research and look into, you know, how much was cut out. And there is a lot. From memory, it was missing... It's crazy, man, like fucking 5 minutes or something ridiculous like that. And this is fantastic. I don't really even know how to describe the film. It's like a gore, haunted house type, bizarre oddity, hallucinogenic type weirdness. It's just so strange, really perverse, full of, I don't know, really deviant things like people interfering with corpses and shit like that. It's absolutely fantastic. And even the slipcover and everything is great. But again, it's not a cheap release, guys. Now, something I polished off recently, folks, was the Zatoichi box set from Criterion. And as you guys know, Criterion don't fuck around. They do amazing work. The quality on that was fantastic. Now, there's actually 25 films in there, but it did take me some time. It took me over a year and a half maybe, to get through all these. You know, I sort of chipped away at it. But yeah, these are fucking amazing. So I had a ball finally getting my hands on that Zatoichi box set, because it did go out of print, and for a while there it was right up over $300. But I waited, and they re-released it and I got it at a good price. Now, there's a new Aussie label out called Chameleon Films, and they predominantly seem to be putting out Asian actioners. And another favourite of mine is Breaking News. It's a lot like Siege, very similar to that. I think you guys will really dig it. It's a Johnny Toe film. He does amazing stuff, and yeah, Chameleon Films is a label to look out for. They're really starting to put out some good stuff. Another one I hadn't seen for a while was Suhak's We Are Gonna Eat You, and unfortunately this is very hard to get hold of. And this is the old Hong Kong DVD in a lovely slipcase, as you can see. And it's a weird film, man. It's like a fucking comedy, action, kung fu cannibal film. It's really unique, and I'm just praying to God that someone puts this out on Blu-ray, because it's absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. During the week, guys, I kicked on with Walter Hill Southern Comfort. Unfortunately, I've only got this cheapy DVD of it, but in saying that, the print quality, honestly, is actually quite good for an old, you know, cheapy fucking release. So I do really need to knuckle down and upgrade and get a Blu-ray of that. You guys know the film. There's not much point in me crapping on about it, but yeah, it's really amazing. Friday night, I kicked on with a Sirio Santiago actioner that I hadn't seen before. And it was okay, but not great. I mean, I prefer Sirio's earlier stuff, like Equalizer 2000, Naked Vengeance, Naked Fist, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it was still a fun film. It was your generic sort of cage fighting type scenario, but, you know, it was fun. Now, a new label on the market is Error 4444, they call themselves. It's a really bizarre label name as such, but now they've put out Centipede Horror, which I will try and get out the slip here for you guys. But, yeah, fantastic, Centipede Horror. It used to be extremely, extremely rare. The only way to watch it really before was the old Hong Kong VHS, which is impossible to get hold of. And they've done an amazing job. Now, these weren't cheap. To get this one and the other one that they put out, Red Spells Red, it cost me quite a lot. It was about $160 by the time I got these delivered, but the slips and such on them are fantastic. And I didn't fully realise how good quality these were until they were in my hands. Now, the other thing with these releases is you get these amazing posters. So there's the Centipede horror poster there, and they're actually a really nice thick cardboard, and the artwork is fantastic. So there's the Red Spells Red poster there. And I'm not usually a fan of these little gimmicky things, but you get these totally amazing little cards and booklets and such, and you know, little stickers of Centipede horror and shit like that. So, you know, all in all, I was quite happy with them. They are really nice releases, so I'm looking forward to their next lineup. They're putting out Red to Kill and a few other Hong Kong nasties as well, so they are a label to look out for, folks. But yeah, they were very limited. They only put out 2,000 of each, and they sold out straight away. Now, another favourite of mine I recently got in, I upgraded to Blu-ray of John Woo's The Killer. And yeah, this is the Hong Kong Blu-ray. Print quality and sound was really nice on that, and it was really good to finally see this in decent quality, because as I say, you know, prior to having this, all I had was the Australian VHS, so the only thing it doesn't have, which I didn't realise when I ordered it, is the you know, the dub version, like the English dub version on it, but it's not a big deal. Now, the Black Cat is another good one as well. This is on Panorama. Panorama do a lot of good stuff. They're like a co-company of Fortune Star. They put out a lot of amazing stuff, and again, the print quality and sound on that one was really fantastic. It's like an Akita film, you know, she's like a female hitman type scenario, but very violent, really well done. I highly recommend the Black Cat, and 88 Films actually put out one as well, but it costs about 3 times as much. Now, more Sirio Santiago madness I got recently. It's a double of Death Force and Vampire Hookers. I haven't had the time to sit down and watch Vampire Hookers yet. I'm told it's not the greatest. And these are more Sirio Santiago actioners. Now, again, I'd always suspected Death Force was cut here on VHS. Now, the old Australian VHS is on the Sundowner label, and it actually was cut. There was throat cuttings, even shootouts, I don't know, again, little snippets cut all the way through it. So, it's always a pleasant surprise, you know what I mean, when you kind of suspect a film here is cut, and then you get like a lovely disc release of it, and then you spot all this extra violence. So it was quite a find. It's not a fantastic film, but it's very entertaining. I mean, if you've seen a Sirio Santiago film before, you know exactly what you're in for. But yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like a blaxploitation samurai film is the only way I can describe it. And yeah, I mean, this DVD was pretty cheap. I think it was about 20 bucks on eBay. So, all right, now we're going to finish up with a favourite of mine, Hunter's Blood. Now, this is from 1986, and it is the absolute best of the Killer Hillbilly films. You know, the films like what do you call it? Don't Wait Till Dawn, I think it's called. You know, those sorts of things. But yeah, this is fantastic. I mean, we don't have any DVD of this or Blu-ray. But yeah, I mean, as I say, of this sort of genre, the Killer Hillbillies out in you know, out in the woods killing people off and stuff like that, this is the best one. It's very violent. It's got an amazing cast: Billy Drago, Sam Bottoms, and a few others in this. And yeah, it's just amazing. And I just can't believe that we still don't have a disc of this. There was one announced. For the life of me, I can't remember what label had announced it, but you know, you're talking 2-3 years ago at least. It was announced that it was coming out on disc, but it actually never happened. So I don't know. You know, but as I say, you know, films like The Final Terror and all that sort of stuff that take place out in that wilderness, you know, that sort of stuff. This is the king, the best of them all. So, I don't know. I guess I am kind of guessing we will get a Blu-ray of this, but it's just a case of, you know, having to sit there and fucking wait for it to come out. But, you know, the Australian print is actually nice and bright. It is. We got the fully uncut version. I think the UK one may have been uncut, but I know for a fact the US release was missing violence, so we're actually quite lucky. Now, oddly, I've got the Japan VHS of this, and although it was uncut, it was very dark. I was quite disappointed and quite surprised to see the Japanese tape was a really terrible print. So what I am going to do is copy this onto my hard drive, because I've had a few people ask for a copy of it, because it turns out there really isn't even a decent download of this available online, which again blows me away, given that it's honestly such a popular film. Alright, so that's it, folks. I don't know what we'll cover next time. I'm sure I'll come up with something. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching, guys. And before I go, as I said, keep an eye out, guys, on this new company, Error 4444. As I said, it's a silly name for a label, but fantastic, fantastic releases indeed.